Do we have microphone? Yes, we do. Oh, lovely. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? You look amazing. Thank you for prioritizing the joining Software Center over spending time outdoors in this amazing weather, because of course it is amazing weather. I don't know who's complaining about the climate changing. I have no idea. I think it's all good. Okay, no reaction. So what I wanted to talk about, and that's slide number 2, while these fine gentlemen are going to get set up, is basically ask a little bit, or talk a little bit about how we deliver value to customers. Because what I've realized is that there is a kind of constant acceleration of the pace at which we are delivering value to customers. For those of you that have worked in automotive or work in automotive, you probably know about the platform generations that many automotive companies have. Basically, every 5 to 7 years, companies go through a bit of a platform generation in order to get new value delivered to customers. I mean, I drive an Audi A4, and on a very regular basis, once every 4 or 5 years, good morning. Basically, there is a next generation of the Audi platform, and I have a bit of a better car than what I used to have before that. Then what happened is that we got into a situation, we got annual software updates. So every year, basically, there is an annual software update. And for those of you that have been upgrading Oracle or SAP on a yearly basis, it's basically a yearly release cycle. When the new update comes, you have a few weeks of suffering, and then the next version of the software is actually working, and we're up and running, basically, with the next version of the software. So then the value is delivered once a year to customers. What is happening then is now we've all moved to the world of DevOps, DataOps, MLOps, and what is now happening is that we're moving towards a cycle where we're delivering new value to customers at the same pace as our agile sprints every 2 to 4 weeks. But of course, it's not stopping there, right? We keep accelerating the pace at which we deliver value to customers. So the next step is basically A/B testing. Yeah, what I now see is that more and more of the software center companies are exploring A/B testing, which the SaaS companies have been doing for a very long time, where the idea is that we give some customers version A of a feature, we give some customers version B of a feature, we measure which of these versions performs better in the field, and once we know which one is better, we give everyone A or we give everyone B, because we are we have decided within a few days which of these versions is better. It doesn't stop there either. The next step that I believe and that some of our PhD students are working on is this whole notion of reinforcement learning, where you basically give solutions to systems to fully autonomously experiment with their own behavior, certain aspects of their behavior, fully autonomously online, while figuring out what is the best way to deliver value to customers. So what I'm trying to communicate is that we see a constant shortening of value delivery cycles that will be basically presented to customers. So from every 5 to 7 years, like the AB Volvos or the Volvo cars of this world, to yearly, to sprint-based, to every couple of days, to actually even faster. And I think that especially reinforcement learning is a very interesting way of doing this. Are you getting in there or not? You are getting in there. I like the sound of it. And in that context, what we've basically done, and this is work between Helena and myself, which there's a beautiful slide that I wish you could see, which is basically a model that shows what are the steps that companies go through when they go from being a traditional company to being a digital company. And what we see there is basically 4 dimensions. It is the business model dimension, how do I actually monetize my product? It is the data dimension, how do I work with data and what is the types of data that I want to have? It is about the product upgrade dimension, how do I upgrade my systems on a continuous basis. And then finally, it is about the AI dimension. So what we're trying to say is here we have these 4 dimensions, where we're basically talking about business model, data, AI, ML, and then the product upgrade. And as you can see, for each of those dimensions, things change as you evolve over time. Especially in the business model dimension, we used to do traditional product sales. I buy the car, I drive the car for 5 years, and then I come back and I buy the next car. Then the next one is the product as a service sales, which is when I get access to the product as a service. I mean, if you go to Volvo Cars, you can get an XC40 as a subscription, basically. And I know that if we work for Scania, Scania basically offers a truck with a driver for us as a service in the forestry industry. The next step after that is that we then start to look into complementary services around products, where I start to offer all kinds of services around the product itself in order to provide added value. And I know that companies like AB Volvo have publicly stated that they want their service revenue to become at least 50% of their total revenue. So that's a big driver there. The next step after that is that we move towards customer KPIs. Then rather than getting paid for the product, I get paid for what the customer does with the product. So I get paid for kilometer if it's about a car. It is about every on-time delivery with a Volvo or Scania truck that I get paid for. In the radar space for Saab, we've been talking about radar coverage with a certain density. So then you actually get paid not for the product itself, but for what the customer does with the product. And then finally, we move to a multi-sided ecosystem where we basically use our primary customer base to collect all kinds of data, and then we resell that data in a kind of aggregated, anonymized fashion to a secondary customer base. In one of the cases that we've been talking about with Volvo trucks is that every truck has a GPS and an accelerometer, which basically means that every truck that it's driving is basically collecting real-time data on the road quality. So who is interested in road quality data? Yeah, if we go to Ericsson, I think we all know that microwave links are quite affected by the weather. If it's raining or very windy or there's other things happening, the microwave link quality is actually affected. Who is interested in real-time, highly localized weather data, and how could we monetize those kind of things? I'm both when I worked at Intuit and in some of the companies that I'm on the boards of these days, we have hedge funds and other players reach out to us because they want to have real-time aggregated data on how we're doing, which I think is a quite interesting development, which has impacts on all kinds of things. It's not just that the business model changes, but also how we work with data. I have had this problem with lots of companies that everyone says that I have so much data that I don't know what to do with it. Yes, but most of that data is actually completely and utterly useless. We can't use that data for anything. And that is because most data is collected for quality assurance and for diagnostics. That was the traditional way. Good morning, Peter. And this fine gentleman that comes in told me in one of the meetings that we had, I think half a year ago, that he was rather, what's the polite word for annoyed with some of your colleagues collecting engine data, engine temperature data, collecting when an engine overheats, but not storing any contextual data. So you only know that some truck at some point in the past had an overheated engine, but you don't know when it happened, why it happened, what the context was, and you can't use that data for anything besides maybe some diagnostics things in the workshop. Yeah, so what you then want to get to is data for product performance. Then you have data from one customer that you present to that customer. Then you go to data from your primary customer base. Welcome, come on in, find a seat. Great to see you guys. And then you can go to data for a secondary customer base. That also changes the way we work with AI and the way that we work with the product upgrade. So how do we upgrade products? There's someone talking through me and I don't like that. It wants me who's on stage here. Okay, our microphone guy is not responding. So if I look at where most companies in Software Center are, many of the companies are trying to become better as offering their products as a service, but they have a long way to go. That also means that if we think about software, well, and product upgrades, many of the companies want to get to a kind of DevOps continuous deployment situation, but it is still about reactive, not so periodic, not so frequent software updates, very much more reactive in response to defects and stuff like that. A lot of the data, at least, is now shifting from we're collecting data for quality assurance and diagnostics to we're collecting data for product performance. And then finally, most of the AI work that I see is basically static machine learning models that are trained with fixed data sets rather than going up the chain to get into DevOps, to get into mass customization. I mean, to be very honest, I hear a lot. We have a project ongoing in MLOps. And in many ways, MLOps is a little bit like teenage sex, is my experience. Everyone talks about it, but no one is actually doing it. At least, sorry, I'm not sure if that is polite to say on stage, but at least that is one of the statements that is used in the US from time to time. So Software Center, and I'm going to cut my presentation short and hop over a few slides, but I think you all know that you're part of the greatest family ever. Look at these beautiful logos on the screen that Marlon so eloquently put together. Thank you, Marlon. Yeah, but I mean, these are the members. There, I think, are representatives from all of the companies here today, so I'm very, very happy about that. For those of you, I think you are aware of the 5 themes that we have ongoing in Software Center. If you don't, then please come and talk to me afterwards. But we have a continuous integration, test, and delivery theme. There are a number of people from the Eiffel community, I think. Where did I see a few hand waves? There was an Eiffel workshop yesterday that some of the people attended that are now also here today. We have the architecture theme, and of course, this is Christian Sandal that is running that team. Where's Christian? Christian is there. Continuous architecture is Jan Carlsen. He's sitting over there. Technical debt, API management, model-based software engineering, cybersecurity you even have under your wings, if I'm not mistaken. Metrics is the fearless leader of the metrics team, is sitting over there, Miroslav Staron. He will be on stage right after me. Customer data and ecosystems is Helena, who is sitting over there. I think many of you know her. And then AI engineering, I'm still looking for someone to take that over because right now I'm the one owning it and I don't want to actually do too much work, so I'm trying to do that, to get rid of it. I was going to talk about how I think that everything around AI has to go from offline training in a centralized fashion to online training in a federated fashion. But in the interest of time, I'm going to hop over that. Also, I was going to talk about something else, which is a blog post series that I'm in the midst of chewing my way through, which is the 15 rules for being the protagonist of your own life, which I have been writing up mostly for myself, but I'm putting it on LinkedIn, so I guess other people see it too from time to time. And these are 15 rules that are actually going to take a bit of time, so I'm going to flip through them very quickly. If you're interested, read more on my personal webpage or on LinkedIn. And with that, I think I came to the end of my presentation. And